trying to connect old obsessions with new obsessions, and trying to make some connections between Do Under a String of Electric Sheep and a certain Norwegian painter. So there's a moment, it's in chapter 12 of Do Under a String of Electric Sheep, when Phil Resch, and any character in a Dick novel called Phil, makes us pay attention, and Rick Deckard, a name which we may mishear as René Descartes, of course. I'm not sure that helps you, but some people have done that. They go to an exhibition in San Francisco on the trail of opera singer and Nexus 6 android Lube Luft, who Deckard has tried to arrest earlier. He's been arrested himself by the Shadow police organisation within San Francisco, and Deckard has been led to believe that he might be an android too. And the person he's teamed up with at this point, Phil Resch, may also be an android. So they're not quite sure which of the two is real in terms of authentic human being, and they're there to retire a person they take to be Nexus 6, who might well kill them in the attempt. So they've gone to an exhibition of the Norwegian painter and engraver and printmaker F.R. Munch, and on the wall they see an oil painting. At an oil painting, Phil Resch halted, gazed intensely. The painting showed. Can we dim the lights a bit? Switch it more back there.
Thank you.
That's better. I spent hours filming the illustrations. It'd be a shame if you can't actually see them. Okay, where was I? The paintings showed a hairless, oppressed creature with a head like an inverted pear. His hands clasped in horror to his ears, his mouth opened like a vast soundless scream. Twisted ripples of the creature's torment, echoes of his cry, flooded out into the air surrounding it. The man or woman, whichever it was, had become contained by his own howl. It had covered his ears against its own sound. The creature stood on a bridge and no one else was present. The creature screamed in isolation, cut off by or despite its outcry. He did a woodcut with this, Rick said, reading the card below the painting. I think Phil Resch said, this is how an Andy must feel. He traced in the air the convolutions visible in the picture of the creature's cry. I don't feel like that, so maybe I'm not an android. So, this is perhaps one of the world's top 3 most famous paintings, or actually it gets more complicated than that, but Munch's The Scream is, as paintings go, is up there with Mona Lisa and Sunflowers as an image that everybody knows. So, let's go a little bit into the work of F.R. Munch, born in 1863 in rural Norway, the son of a doctor and the grandson of a preacher. There he is, not when I was born, that's about 40 years after that. 1864, when he's 1 year old, he moves to Christiania, which eventually becomes Oslo, the capital of Norway. At that point, it's not entirely an independent country. And basically, his father is a doctor, so he moves with his doctor's practice. And he lives in various bits of actually dirt poor Oslo over the next few years. And whilst his father's got plans for him to get a profession from an early age, he knows he wants to be an artist. But more importantly, he has a trauma in 1864, if that date's right, more or less after he's moved to Oslo, his mother dies of tuberculosis. and in 18, I think that date must be wrong. I'm not convinced by that date. Anyway, 1877, his favourite sister, Sophie, also dies of TB, and this is a loss that he never gets over. So who do we know who's mourning a loss from their childhood that they never quite recover from? Of course, the name Sophie might make us think of Sophia and secret knowledge and things like that, but let's leave that for another time. And the sense that we have from Munch's work that he's painting to process his emotions. He's painting to kind of, not quite expiate it, but it's part of the process of grief that continues right up until his death in 1944. He studies in Oslo and in Paris, where he moves among some of the latest movements within art. And he's invited to have an exhibition in Berlin, where the critics hate his paintings, and the exhibition is closed within a week because it's disgusting, which kind of makes him as an artist. And that banned exhibition is then toured around Germany for a couple of years and really makes his reputation. The early critics of Munch really did not like his paintings. They were described as unfinished. But one of the paintings he does at this time is a painting called The Scream, which is the one, of course, you all know about. Now this comes about from a walk he had some years earlier in a suburb of Oslo called Ekeberg, which is to, let me get the map the right way up in my head, it's to one side of east to the west of Oslo, above Oslo. And sometime after this walk, in the 22nd of January 1892, I got very excited when I looked at that date. It's not quite exactly a century before the setting of Johannes Ring of Electric Sheep, but it is set on one day, I think it's the 5th of January 1992. So again, there's nothing significant there, it's just one of those moments where it chimes. So he'd clearly been for a walk at some point around that area, and in his diary he notes what happened. I was walking along the road with two friends. The sun was setting. I felt a wave of sadness. The sky suddenly turned blood red. I stopped, leaned against the fence, tired to death, looked out over the flaming clouds like blood and swords, the blue-black fjord and city. My friends walked on. I stood there quaking with angst. I felt as though a vast and scream passed through nature. So there we have one of the 4 or 5 versions of the screen. Next to it is where it was actually painted, where the event actually took place. Okay, so it is a real location in Oslo. I've not quite got the angle right. He's painting from a slightly higher perspective. But you can see over the, you can see a fjord in the background, which actually matches the geography of the area. You've got Oslo Cathedral is visible in there, and in some versions of the image, you can see the Royal Palace. So it is a depiction of a real location. It's not a bridge. It's a road with a barrier. Obviously, there's replaced the fence, but you know, it is an authentic depiction of a road around Ekeberg as perceived by Munch some point around about 1891. So, this is the woodcut version of the image, which is also mentioned within the novel. It's perhaps slightly clearer. You can see boats on the fjord there. They're possibly not to scale, but I think we can kind of forgive it. So we get that line from Phil. This is how Andy must feel. We have a moment of empathy from Phil, where he's placing himself in the mind of the screaming character and saying that this is perhaps the experience of an android. So what we have here is Resch demonstrating empathy, which is one of the things that the novel, or characters within the novel, claim to be definition of a human being, which is something I used to believe, and now I'm kind of not entirely rowing back, but I think that's what the novel says, but rather like the I Ching, it might say it, but it might not be right. But certainly a number of characters within the novel insist that empathy is what's going on. A hairless, oppressed creature with a head like inverted pear, his hands clapped in horror to his ears, his mouth open in a fast would scream. So we see that the character is desexed. We're not sure whether it is male or female. Some people reckon the shape of the figure was inspired by a Peruvian mummy which is seen at an exhibition in Paris. Clearly, as Munch was walking along that road, it's also a self-portrait. What's interesting is that there's a picture, one of the paintings he did about the death of his mother. There's a figure right at the front of the painting, and some people say it's a painting of Munch himself, and some people say it's a picture of his sister. So there's this tradition within Munch's paintings of gender ambiguity, so to say. But the important thing which Dick gets wrong in the description, or Phil gets wrong in the description, is that the figure isn't screaming, the figure is hearing the scream. The scream is coming from outside to the individual on the road. So it's a fairly usual kind of misconstruing of the painting. The creature stood on a bridge and no one else was present. Well, actually there are two figures present, which again gets written out in the description I wonder whether Dick was writing this from memory of having seen that image, rather than actually with the image in front of him. I've been trying to find out whether there was an exhibition of Munch's work in San Francisco in the early 60s that you would have been aware of. I'm almost certain there must have been something. There was one in 1951. That's the closest date I can get. But the wood prints were touring around America quite a lot during the first half of the 20th century. And at the time of the setting up of the Munch Museum, I'm fairly sure there must have been an exhibition. I went to the museum back in June and had a sprawling list of worldwide exhibitions of Munch, and it was going on so long. I got up as far as 1955. And I wanted to stay for 1964, but it was clearly going to be another half hour before it got to that point. So it's possible that Dick saw the painting in the flesh. Certainly it would have been covered in the local media and the newspapers and magazines, and it would have been talked about. So what we have here, if Resch is identifying this as being what an android feels like, we've got isolation, and on the other hand, Descartes consistently insists on the fact that he works alone. He's the kind of sole agent of the detective narrative, and we keep on being told that the androids don't care for each other, that they wouldn't do any good things for each other. Not entirely sure the events of the novel actually support that reading. There's this possibly a family necessity, but in the coming together, the 3 or 4 androids in the final chapter, there is a kind of sense that maybe Descartes is working more alone than the androids. It's frozen. okay, but I think the interesting thing, I wish this quote would come up. A guy called John Goodrich, I think he was at Nottingham Trent University, he did a PKD conference event about 5 to 10 years ago. But he suggests that what's going on here in reaction to the painting is that Descartes is failing to engage emotionally with the painting. He simply reads the tag on the wall, whereas Phil is emoting, is empathising, and is putting himself all in the place of the person in the painting. So in a sense, at this point, Descartes fails the test. Okay, it may well come back. PowerPoint does this all the time. So
my computer's really running out, sorry.
So I was kind of rereading the novel to see how this painting permeated the feel of the rest of the novel. And we get a moment, interesting enough, involving J.R. Isidori when he's alone in his combat. And it's rather about the point where he's talking about Kipple, which I think is one of Dick's great gifts to the world. I had to clear my office the week before last, and it is full with 12 years worth of Kipple. Most of it, frankly, could be thrown away, and I would never know that it wasn't there anymore. But, I found the old use of the DVD of that. Anyway, this is how Isidori describes the situation, or the author vocalised through Isidori. Silence, it flashed from the woodwork and the walls. It smote it with an awful total power, as if generated by a vast mill. It rose up from the floor, out of the tattered grey wall-to-wall carpeting. It assailed not only his ears, but his eyes, as he stood by the inert TV set. He experienced the silence as visible, and, in his own way, alive. Alive! He had often felt this austere approach before. When it came, it burst in without subtlety, evidently unable to wait. The silence of the world could not rein back its greed, not any longer. Not when it virtually won. It would have done if the others who reigned on earth experienced the void this way. So that's almost Isidori's own blood-red light experience. He's being assailed by silence, a silence which is deafening, a silence which is surely a scream. We've got the yammer of TV sets, but we've also got the yammer of abandoned houses or flats or apartments. Technology.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so they actually see 2 images when they go to the exhibition. This will be a point where it will be useful to see that image. You can Google it. If you go to the National Gallery, National Art Museum of let's reboot. If it reboots before the end of the talk, I'll show you. But the second image that they go to see is a woodcut by a monk called Puberty. There's versions from 1894, there's versions painted between 1894 and 95. There's probably at least 3 more paintings of this image. And this is an image of a young woman, perhaps I should say a young girl, who sat on the edge of, no, that's not, sat on the edge of a bed, perched at the end of the bed, with her hands kind of like this, and behind her there's a huge shadow, which some people suggested is rather phallic, and she's looking directly at us, and her expression is different in different versions of the image, but I don't think she's entirely a passive victim. That's a painting called Despair that Munch did, which is an earlier version of the screen. And at that point, it's top hats, and that's rather more straightforward an image than the one that becomes famous. And that's the wood print of puberty. She's kind of looking at us. We've got this shadow behind her. And is this a menacing shadow? Is puberty something which is a menace coming upon her? Or is it opening up new possibilities? It's a very odd image. Holding a printed catalogue, Luba Luft, wearing shiny tapered pants and a linen gold vest like top, stood absorbed in the picture before her. A drawing of a young girl, hands clasped together, seated on the edge of the bed, an expression of bewildered wonder and new, groping awe imprinted on the face. Notice the word groping before the same way. That gives me pause for thought. So, is this image a version of Rachel or Pris? We've got the kind of younger model of the Andy being represented here. We've got all those dark-haired girls that permeate the canon, and I'll say a little bit more about that on the next slide. But I do wonder whether symbolically this image is perhaps pointing towards some of the other female characters, probably more Rachel than Chris, to be honest. Did you really like that Munch picture that Luba Luft was looking at? Phil asked. I didn't care for it. Realism in art doesn't interest me. I like Picasso and. That's kind of course, Picasso was still alive when The Wondrous Dream of Electric Sheep was written. He died out in 1974, 1975. But yeah, again, one of the most famous painters in the world. I'm fairly sure I remember that Deckard made some snide comments about Phil's culture, but in some ways he feels much more cultured than Deckard does at this point. So, puberty is obviously an image of a young woman, and so there might be some space for wondering whether Munch's relationship with women might give us some interest, some vision into the way that the characters within his fiction are presented. So, overwhelmingly, as well as the relationship with his mother and his dead sister that we've got, Munch's relationship towards women is very much determined by things like an early affair with Millie Thorwald, who was the wife of an artist and mentor, Fritz Stahler. He's one of the many people that helped Munch find his way within the art world, and meanwhile he was having an affair with his wife. There was a relationship with a woman called Daphne Uel, who was married to one of the people that Munch drank with in Berlin. There's a painting called Jealousy that features all three of them. There's an image, there's a painting which is known as The Vampire by Munch, which Jewel's husband actually gave the name to. I think Munch wanted to call it something like Loving Angst. They went vampire, because vampires were very popular at the time, so it would have been the 1890s. Daphne Jewel was eventually assassinated, and for a brief period it wasn't clear whether it was a husband or Munch who had killed her. It turns out to be an Estonian student killed her, and then killed himself. So very kind of bizarre soap opera of his life. Then there was a woman called Tulla Larsen who had a relationship with over about 15 years. And they were engaged at one point, but he rather rapidly broke it off. But she pursued him across Europe. It could really be a 1980s thriller with Glenn Close in it. At some point, Monk is shot in the hand by his own gun. It's not clear whether he shot himself in the hand accidentally or whether she shot him in the hand. And there's a knife, it freezes now. There's a painting of him and Larson, where she's clearly a red-headed woman, and the painting's been sawn in half. And this was actually a painting that was done after he'd been shot in the hand by her. So it's not as if he painted a picture of his beloved and then they fell out being cut in half. It seems to be done after the affair. So what we have with it, oh, there we go. It's funny. So you can see that's on the right, that's Monk on the left. Can't remember who's meant to be in the background. I think it's somebody else who was in love with her. And you can see the paint being sawn down there. So what we get repeatedly within Monk's paintings is red-haired women. That seems to be the kind of woman that he was hanging out with. He never married, but it was clear that he had numerous young women who wanted to become his model until very late in life. A whole series of affairs and relationships going right through to pretty well the day he died. But as I say, he remained single throughout his life. I don't propose to, particularly with Tesla in the room, I don't propose to go through Dick's entire love life here, but we had that early, short-lived marriage to Jeanette Marling between about May and November of 1948, 4 wives for the rest of her life. But in terms of the fiction, which I'm more comfortable about talking about, there's that recurrent figure of the dark-haired girl, quite often a kind of the sort of woman, young woman who gets described as being feisty. I kind of bite my lip and think whether that is a right word to use or not. And again, lots of descriptions of breasts going through this. Rereading both Manor High Castle and Under a String of Electric Sheep, there are descriptions of those throughout the canon. But what this suddenly reminded me of was another painting or series of images by a monk called Woman with Three Stages. It never reproduces very well. But what we have here is effectively the maiden, the mother, and the crone, the three archetypal stages of women. And when I was writing a lot about Dick, I had the sense that there were two major figures. There was the younger, seductive woman, and there was the older, vindictive, more harpy-like figure, none of which are particularly politically correct in today's terminology. But here we have those kind of the younger woman, the woman on the cusp of motherhood, and then the old, bitter, dried-up woman, and then that is Monk off the edge of there in the shadows there. This painting was also known as the Sphinx. As I said earlier, there's a painting by Munch where it appears to be a red-haired woman biting into the neck of a younger man. Some versions of the painting, it looks as if she's giving him a hug. And it's not clear which of the two people is the vampire or not. Another thing that emerged from looking at Munch's work is the use of masks. I'm talking about the people of Oslo, the middle-class people of Oslo. That actually on the left is an image of Berlin. I see their hollow eyes stalled behind the pale masks. The sense that everyday people on the street, largely the bourgeoisie, are hiding behind masks. The image on the left there is of his drinking companions in the Black Pig in Berlin, and they've kind of got masks of their real faces across their face. On the right is a two-part wood print where we've got the landscape from the screen image will come across in comes last time. So he shows in his work a distrust of the bourgeoisie, the self-satisfiedness of them, the fakeness of them, and I think some of that political reading you can pick up from reading some of Dick's novels. And of course, when was it? It was about 1963 he first sees that image of the mask in the sky. So there's going to be mask figures feeds into things like Palmer Eldridge, does it not, as well as into some of the post-phallus stuff. Dick has also got that interest in mask figures as well. Munch seems to have had a photographic memory, having seen the two painted versions of the screen which are available to us, one's in private hands. You kind of think these two paintings were painted 20 years apart, but actually look remarkably the same. I don't think he had them in the same room at the time. So he has this photographic memory, and he's working through his memories of childhood, of teenage. He's working through his anxieties one way or another. So he paints the same motive again and again and again, and we get the same character names throughout Dick's novels. We get the same kind of figure. We get the boss you can't trust. We got the younger woman trying to seduce the hapless protagonist. We've got tie regroovers. There's that sense that just as Munch has this stock of stone and wooden print devices, so Dick has his own different versions of the same characters. Munch would go to his printer in Berlin, who had all the different parts that would make it print, and he'd say to the printer, I want that one blue, that one green, that one grey. And then he'd go next door to a bar and drink lots of alcohol, and he could come back, look at the prints, and then say, I want that one brown, that one red, that one blue. So Munch was aware of the power of repeated images, but also the kind of differences that come through that different set of repeated images. The same motifs. Interestingly enough, as he paints these same images across 20 years, some of the characters remain the same, whereas others age. So there's a weird kind of double timeline that goes through his painting of the same image across 30 or 40 years. Now, why tell you all this? I don't really know. We all had to talk about something. This was what was interesting me at the time. But I'm wondering, and I haven't really done the legwork for this yet, whether we might not want to think of Dick in terms of the lessons that the Symbolist artists and writers have for us from the late 19th century. So this is Anna Maria von Monsdorf. Says Symbolist artists attempted to open the door to the unconscious and to depict the world from a completely new viewpoint, from beyond visible reality. Okay, a certain amount of this is clearly going back to ideas about Plato and the world of ideals, and how this world is a copy of an authentic reality out there somewhere. So it's not as if the Symbolists were inventing something that was new, but maybe some of the ideas that we have about the Symbolists might be a way of continuing to think about Dick's work. Symbolists believe that the artist's unconscious provided access to the world of ideas, and at the same time to a clearer vision that was granted to other beings. This, in a sense, is a manifesto for fantasy over realism. That somehow through the imagination, of course this goes back to the Romantics again, this is not new to the 1890s. This kind of sense that through fantasizing about the world, you get to that inner truth that we're looking for as individual human beings. But this is a painting called Evening on Carl Johan Street, though it's slightly misleading to say it's evening, because it's probably about 2 o'clock. What apparently happened, this is central Oslo, and if you go there today it looks not unlike that, but the people got slightly different fashions, and then there's parking calming, traffic calming things on the road. But what apparently happened at 2 o'clock every day in Oslo is that all the rich and the powerful and the bourgeois would go for a parade down the street. They walk down the street in their finest clothes. This thing's happening every day. And their faces, again, that central figure in the top hat, is not a million miles away from the face of the screamer. It looks as if they're all wearing masks. So again, reading about this painting, reading about Symbolist Art, I'm reminded of some of Dick's political attitudes, perhaps to the way he represents the experience of life in the city. I've not really explored, this is still tentative hypotheses so far. The modern city was overcrowded, dirty, disease-ridden, and potentially threatening. It signified joylessness, claustrophobia, and anonymity. A recurrent theme in Symbolist Art is the loss or concealment of identity created by modern urban living. Evar Munch's Evening on Karl Johan Street of 1893, the city dwellers are reduced to almost zombie-like state, their faces fixed, staring masks as they proceed along the street. So I suppose what I'm trying to do is to suggest that those two works of art that they go and see in chapter 12 of Joanne String of Electric Sheep. I'm not the first person to talk about this particular set of images within the novel. I think they're very tactically there. I think they actually permeate the whole fabric of the novel. And I think in terms of kindred spirits, one thing I didn't mention that Munch was also interested in X-rays and beamed information. He heard voices. For a lot of his career, people accused him of being mad. Not that he read novels while dropping acid, but he was clearly deranged when he was making his paintings. So I don't want to say that these two things are like each other. But I think maybe this kind of way of an artist who perhaps positioned himself as a bit of a loner, who kept returning to the same material, had within the representation of women within his work sort of ambivalent kind of position. I think there's something that's there to be in mind. One of the things I want to do in future is to focus a bit more on the workings of the unconscious, not entirely Freudian way, but this kind of sense of what are the deeper truths that we get through a symbolist gaze. So I think I'd better stop then, otherwise we won't get any lunch. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So the rest of the meetings this afternoon will be at the library.